Today I want to share with you one of the craziest professional matches of StarCraft 2 that I've ever seen. This was recently played as part of the top 16 during the World Championship series over in South Korea. Spawning here in the top left-hand corner of a Winter's Gate LE and playing with the blue Zerg drones. From Italy, we are looking inside of the main base of Reynor. And his opponent in the opposite corner playing with the red Protoss pieces from South Korea, we have none other than Hero. Alrighty, so both of these players, of course, extremely successful in their own rights. Hero, he's been around for many years, and he's known to play hyper-aggressive strategies and to come up with builds that other Protoss players just simply don't seem to be able to pull off, and I think that's primarily due to his insane micro. Now, Reynor, he is one of the players who I've personally actually been casting for a couple of years right now. Now, without patting myself on the back too much, I think I posted my very first Reynor video, I think like 2 years or so ago, and I think I said at the time as well, he is one of the names you should remember, because this kid is looking ridiculously good. He's currently 17 years old, and spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen the top, I guess the top 8 yet of the World Championship Series. Ooh, he actually made an evolution chamber right there for a second. Does notice it. That's actually a mistake, right? Like, that has happened before at the highest level of play, where players accidentally make an evo chamber rather than a spawning pool. It's one of the things that certainly is you know, in effect because of nerfs, I would say. But anyways, spoiler alert, Reynor did manage to get second place at the World Championship Series this year at the age of 17, which is absolutely ridiculous. And the cool part about it in particular, at least I think that's really cool, is that he still certainly has room for improvement. I mean, when you watch some of the top level guys duke it out, there's still like some stumbles in Reynor's play from time to time. I mean, obviously he's ridiculously good, but if you're critical, you can notice that there's definitely still some room for improvement. And I'm really curious to see what 2020 is going to look like for him, because, I mean, getting second place at the age of 17, it's pretty insane. Now, that is not a spoiler for this game whatsoever. Like I mentioned, this was played during the top 16, which was actually in a group stage. So it got played over in South Korea in a group stage format where basically 4 players were in a group. They all played in round robin against each other in, I think, best of 5 series, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they were best of 5 series. Basically, the top 2 out of every group moved on. Now, full disclaimer, I did actually already see this game. I mean, I woke up at 4 a.m., which is when those matches got played, just because, well, I obviously want to watch as many of these games as I can, but I can imagine quite a few of you missed it, and this game in particular, and a couple of others as well. If you're interested, I can certainly cast more, but this game in particular was super good. Alrighty. So one adept made its way across the map right now for Hero. It will scout everything. Might try and see if we can get a drone. Yeah, he actually decides to cancel the adept. This is another one of those small moves that certainly indicates nerfs, right? So look at that, right? Small misclick accidentally morphs in the wrong drone. Does the adept get out? Looks like it will for now. That one is going to run away. Second adept now also joining the fray too. Another kill. Another drone going down. And you can see that Hero is extremely experienced when it comes to playing on stage. He's been around for a very long time. And these are the moves that separate the best from the very best, right? That was 3 drones right there. Both adepts get out. Pretty much free full scout there as well for the Protoss player. And it's one of the things where I can imagine Reynor right now is very frustrated with himself. He does not want to be losing all of those units for free. On top of that, it's actually a little bit tricky right now too. He doesn't really know exactly what he is going up against. The only information he's really got is the lack of gases over here in the natural. Now, it is going to be a robo, so the robotic facility was already produced here for Hero. He's currently got a prism moving across the map, and guess what's inside of it? The 2 adepts from earlier. Warp Gates is going to finish up here in a little bit as well, and obviously that means that this Spore Crawler is pretty much useless, and it's these small moves that hurt a lot. This is actually a cool new development in Korean StarCraft 2 recently, where you shade in the adepts, you try and get a kill, and you pick them up once again with the prism. Since the prism has quite a lot of pickup range, you can get quite a bit of value done as well. So I think he's going to try and do it again. Is he going to commit to the natural? He is. Over at the 3rd right now is where those... Oh my god, is the prism gonna go and pick it up again? Ooh, that is such a sexy move. Gotta say, I love the creativity that a lot of these Protoss players have been showing recently, right? This is one of those moves. Like, I remember the good old days where... oh, you gotta be careful. You cannot lose that prism. I remember the good old days back in, I would say like 2011, 2012, when people were making fun of Protoss for being the A-move race. well, the top-level Protoss players certainly have been showing them wrong, right? Like, these micro tricks that they're pulling off, while obviously macroing at home and managing everything else that's going on, is really, really sick. Protoss has been able to get more and more value out of their units as time goes by. And, yeah, I'm pretty sure... Ooh, no. Don't let him in. That's a big mistake. That is a massive mistake, actually. Yeah, immediate recall as well on the Prism. One of the sentries falls. Second sentry also gets picked off, too. The Prism is here again. So that means that Zerk is going to be free to drone here for a while. So you see that, right? Immediately, the Prism comes back home and drones get queued up. Lurker also coming here as well for Reynor. He knows he doesn't need all too much here to defend. And once again, as soon as these units leave, we see a couple of Zerglings making their way towards the mineral line. And they're actually going to be able to get quite a few probe kills. This is a small thing that adds up over time, as lost mining time is also be taken into consideration. Now, the Protoss units, though, they are not returning home this time around. This is a bit of an unorthodox timing attack here from Hero. How many gateways is this in total? It's really not that many. I think it's like 6. He does have a third base on the back of this too, but the Prism, ooh, it does get picked off. And I think that means that this Protoss push is as good as ended. Yeah, no way. With the Prism gone, there's not a whole lot you can do. But this is actually already a pretty curious move here from Hero, right? So let me try and explain to you why that is. Generally speaking, when Protoss goes for 2 base all-ins, they will go for 8 gateways. However, when they want to go ahead and try and expand towards the third base, they will go 4 gateways. Right here, Hero is going for what would be considered a middle-of-the-road kind of push, where he only has, well, 6. So this is, I guess, one of those builds where you can punish your opponent if they played really greedy. So if they're being overzealous with their economy, you can definitely win the game straight up with 6 gateways. But at the same time, you still have enough economy left over as well to transition towards the third base. I guess it's also one of those builds at this level of play where you hope that your Zerg opponent is going to freak out. But you can see here, already Zerg is at 66 workers. He is still preparing for what seems to be the potential of a 2-base push. And by the way, there's once again 2 adepts. These are not the same 2, right? I think one of them actually might be. Yeah, they still get a whole bunch of drones down. Wow. That's actually really shaky there, right? I mean, how many drones have gone down in total? 10. That's a lot of workers that have been killed here by the Protoss for practically free. Once again, 2 adepts holding hands. I think that was the one from earlier. Do you think he actually purposefully picked like one high hit point one and then like a half damaged one as well? We saw that with the other hit squad. This time around though, I don't think these are going to achieve too much. The shades do get cancelled, but the Zerglings find the adepts anyway. And I think that Hero is likely going to end up losing these 2. Alright. So if we take a step back right now in this game, right? We have 3-base Protoss going up against 2-base Zerg. Protoss right now is transitioning towards a second robotics facility, as well as a robotics bay. I don't think these Zerglings are really going to be able to achieve too much. Zerg right now is approaching 4 bases. So pretty good economy here for Reynor. He's now trying to transition here towards a Lurker den. Ooh, he's got to be careful. Don't lose the Prism. Losing a Prism is super painful. Losing, I guess the Observer painful too, but not as big of a deal when you do have double robotics facility. So it's going to be a Lurker transition right now in combination with an Infestation Pit as well. Hero is scouting all of this out. A couple of links, once again, by the way, made their way towards the mineral line, but these should be cleaned up as well without all too much of a hassle. Real quick, did the Lurker den get scouted? Hold up. There we go. No, he actually did not see the Lurker den. Already, though, I think that Hero probably sniffed out that something is not quite right. He's adding on a few of these Disruptors. So Disruptors are the counter to Lurker play, generally speaking. They are really, really good against that type of army. I guess just simply by noticing that the Hive has not started yet, he knows what's going on. Well, it just now started at the 9-minute mark, which is actually, all things considered, a pretty late Hive, right? So I think what Protoss is primarily concerned about at this point in the game is Brute Lords. So if they know that the Hive has not started up yet, obviously Brute Lords can't come out yet either. Hero will figure out that indeed it has started up right now. And while the Zerg army is looking, oh, is he gonna find it? Oh god. There you go, Reynor. With the star senses, somehow, some way, figured out exactly what is happening here. That Prism will get shut down, and that's gonna make any kind of harassment quite a bit more painful. Now that's a scary Protoss army though. You can notice here that the supply counts are very heavily in favor of Zerg, but a lot of that supply is caught up in roaches and, you know, low value units. All of these Protoss units are extremely worthwhile. We do have the upgrades right now coming up as well in those forges. So +3 here is being chrono boosted out. He's going to try and secure a 4th base too. So Hero going ahead here and playing a full-on macro Protoss style, which I actually personally would be very worried about doing, especially against someone like Reynor. Right now, there's no denying that at the highest level of play, the late game of Zerg versus Protoss is pretty heavily in favor of Zerg. A couple of Dropper Lords, by the way, coming up as well. We do have a few Vipers coming up. The Hive is done, but this time around it's not actually for Brute Lords. It's going to be for that... what is the upgrade called again? It used to be called Digging Claws, but not quite anymore. Roach is still in the top right-hand corner. Protoss army here in the center of the map. That's, by the way, the Lurker Burrow upgrade. But there we go. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Massive Disruptor hit. Cleans all of that up. You can see immediately the Roaches get replaced with higher value units. Like, for example, Zerglings. Much cheaper to produce. Oh, he actually didn't have Overlord speed. Oh, wow. He's going for what seems to be a Lurker drop here, but he doesn't have Overlord speed. That's a little bit of a blunder, right? We've been seeing small blunders right here. In this game. Small moves here and there, that certainly indicates some nerfs. And that's one of the things that I'm talking about, right? So he's participating at the highest level of play, but then small moves like that just simply show that he is not 100% with his head in the game. Here we go though. The Disruptor balls are looking for the connection. Great zoning here by Hero, trying to dance around that Bubula, the slowing zone, the inhibitor zone generator. No Observer in this army though, because that one ended up dying earlier. One of the Lurkers there does go down to those Disruptor hits. They're the scary army that you don't want to have connect with all of your Protoss units. Once again, ooh, one of the Disruptors gets abducted, but 2 of them do manage to get that hit off. Overlord that was queued up earlier now does have Overlord speed. It is going to try and see if it can move inside of, I guess, the main base and drop those Lurkers off. At the same time, a Zealot run by towards that 4th or 3rd base here for the Zerg player. Once again, the Disruptors are dancing back and forth. A lot of the Vipers now abducting the Disruptors as well, though. Feeding them right there to those Lurkers. And speaking of Lurkers, they're now landing over in the natural. There is one photon cannon, but that one should be made... leveled in just a little bit. Zealots once again trying to charge forward, and they managed to do so right on top of reinforcing Hydralisks and Ravagers. That's a very juicy army to pick up. And that is some extreme value here that these Zealots are getting. Still though, Protoss is dancing around here on the creep. There's Lurkers everywhere, so I don't think he can really push into that. A couple of the Zealots right now though actually try and come from the north, and he does manage to shut most of these Lurkers down. In the meantime though, the Lurkers, they did manage to kill that cannon. They have been dealing a lot of damage, and they're now going after the probe line as well. Drones though, forced to evacuate from this base from the low ground. He's going to try and see, Reynor that is, if he can still hold on, but the drones are now pulled away from the mineral line as well. Hero is looking extremely dominant here. Still has that Prism alive as well, so he's going to be able to get himself a massive reinforcement here of Stalkers as well. Keep in mind, he did manage to get himself that Blink upgrade a little while ago. 44 drones end up going down in the blink of an eye. And while there is still some counter harassment, right, this is actually starting to hurt quite a bit. I mean, I think that this Nexus will go down. Yeah, there you go. Nexus will fall. I think that Hero doesn't care. He is smelling blood in the water. He wants to finish this game off right here, right now. Still does some good harpooning here. Look at that. Just simply picking up all of those units while they're on the retreat, utilizing those Vipers to the most. And I guess they are the real reason why the Zerg player is still in this game. Hero now also found his base on the left-hand side of the map. He's going to be able to pick up this expansion too. There's a couple of drones here hiding for their lives, and it looks like they will just barely not be found. Hero though is still looking solid here when it comes to the economy. Looks like the Lurkers eventually were cleared out as well, but I mean, this is still a great economy here for Protoss, and Zerg barely has anything remaining at this point in the game. Alright, now I think if this was a ladder game, this would be the moment where Reynor taps out. I mean, on paper, he doesn't have much of a win condition here anymore. However, when you play in a tournament at this level of play, you gotta keep trying. You have to come up with a win condition, and I highly recommend this for everyone as well that plays on the ladder. I sometimes have this too, where I feel like I need to leave the game already, because if my opponent plays perfect, there's no way that I'm gonna end up winning anymore. But I don't think that mindset is particularly good. Try and come up with a win condition and then execute. Even if the win condition is 5%, it's better than leaving the game right then and there. Zerglings making their way towards the top right-hand corner of the map. They're gonna go after that Nexus that has just been started up here by Hero. Hero still has not replanted down that Nexus. He's finally actually going to be able to get himself the Templar Archives with the Storm upgrade too. But this Protoss army is still smelling blood in the water though. These High Templar, oh my god, they are dangerously close to that creep. You don't really want to lose the High Templar here. Static Storm is going to finish here in a sec. And right now you can see Hero is really just trying to figure out how much economy is there still for Zerg. He's looking everywhere. He knows that this base over here is not taken. He knows the base over here is not taken. And he's checked the bottom left-hand corner of the map too. He knows that Zerg right now is effectively contained on 3 bases. So he does not need to move up. Then again, he also knows he just killed a ton of Zerg units. One Disruptor still trying to get some lucky hits. But once again, you try and stand still for a little bit with your units. Immediately, the Vipers move in and they harpoon one of your units out. Okay, so I like this here from Hero. It's extremely tempting right now if you're a Protoss player to move up that ramp and try to end the game right here, right now. But I think we've all made the mistake once upon a time in our StarCraft careers where you try and move into a Lurker burrowed army, right? If you got yourself a couple of those Lurkers on the ground, they can kill a surprising amount of stuff. So I like the fact right now that there is a Stargate transition. So Hero starts up a couple of Stargates here. Probably will go for the Fleet Beacon in a little bit too. Yeah, okay, no, he's going to start up the Fleet Beacon. First off, goes for a couple of Oracles, which is pretty cool. I guess he wants to get a revelation here on these Lurkers, so he can see them and know exactly how many there actually are. It's always a little bit of a guessing game if for Protoss. He doesn't really know exactly. He's trying to maneuver around, though, probably primarily to try and get these Zealots to go into that base. Lurkers right now on the high ground, though. That means that this expansion is extremely exposed. Couple of the Vipers, by the way, did abduct once again some of these Protoss units. The Immortal count is starting to look much, much smaller. Base still available here as well, but right now the Protoss army is not able to detect these Lurkers. I was going to say the Zerg army actually is pretty exposed. Yeah, you should be able to get a revelation here. That's pretty helpful, so now he can get detection that way. But I think that Reynor should be able to hold on here for the time being. Protoss just cannot kill this ground Zerg army using ground units themselves. So, it is going to be a transition right now towards carriers. Fleet Beacon is done, 3rd Stargate is done as well. Would love to see production in that 3rd Stargate. Reynor, though, at this point in the game, is primarily focused around Hydra, Lurker, Viper. Not a unit composition that we see a whole lot, but maybe it's going to become popular in the next patch in particular. So the next patch is going to change the way that Lurkers function. They will have 1 less range by default. However, you have a Hive Tech upgrade that will give them 1 more range than they have right now by default. Meaning that they're going to be a little bit weaker early on, but they're going to be stronger in the later stages of the game. However, to make up for their early game weakness, they are reducing the build time of the Lurker structure. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that the Lurkers are going to be a more viable unit in the next patch. And I would not be surprised if this is going to be an army composition that we will see a little bit more of. Carriers right now, though, are available. Zerg doesn't really know exactly how much there still is, right? These Vipers, by the way, are extremely valuable. Without the Vipers, I don't think a whole lot would get done. But in the meantime, Zealots made their way towards the 3rd base. They did end up getting a really nice snipe on the base as well. That means that there's really only 1 mining expansion remaining here for Reynor, as the main and the natural are running dangerously low here on resources. Carriers building up their interceptor count. Keep in mind as well, there's still a lot of High Templar too. You need to try and lend some feedbacks here on these Vipers, but so far it's not happening. The Lurkers are zoning away against this Protoss ground army, and right now, Hero is caught at a bit of a weird angle. I don't even know if he can walk up that ramp. Protoss needs to be careful. He does actually blink forward right now. Charges forward with a few of the Zealots too. Reynor was up with his back against the wall just a little while ago, but now he's abducting all of these carriers. Great Storm, though, does land, and that zones away the Hydras for now, but with that High Templar on the low ground, Reynor sees an opportunity, and he immediately jumps at it, tries to get into a better position, tries to control the high ground. That means that the base on the low ground in particular is extremely vulnerable. Once again, the Vipers abduct a couple of the carriers to end up dying as well. Hydra's right now picking up the interceptors, which is one way of essentially nullifying these carriers temporarily. They're gonna have to rebuild the interceptor count as well. Still, more and more carriers are being rebuilt, but actually now that the last one is out, he's gonna go ahead and transition towards a few of these Void Rays. Lurkers move forward. Reynor, while in a very bad position just a couple of minutes ago, is getting extremely good trades right here, and I've got a feeling that this is a bit of a probe massacre. Well, some of them will be recalled out of there, some of them did not quite get the cut, and I think that that means that the probes will be picked off. 16 probes end up dying. Base over here in the top right-hand corner, also in trouble. Probes desperately trying to scramble away from there. Hero recognizes that he can't really take the head-on fight, so instead he's gonna try and see if he can go for the counter-attack. 2 Vipers only remain. Even though they have been extremely valuable, they cannot be picked up. He needs to be extremely careful with where he positions them, and, well, one of them goes down. Second one goes down as well. One Abducto, somehow, some way, came out of the middle of nowhere. Carry is trying to get some value in as well, but the Hydras move forward, and Reynor shuts them down. Really cool game there of top-level Zerg versus Protoss. Protoss smelt blood in the water, overextended with the army. Reynor managed to hold on by the skin of his teeth, going up against, I guess, like 5 base Protoss there. But his army was still very, very strong. His micro was very good, and then he zoned beautifully there with those Lurkers in the end, essentially cutting off the reinforcements and the attack paths in the top right-hand corner, sniping 2 bases, and forcing Protoss in a very, very uncomfortable position. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much for the generosity. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you once again in the next one.